what I will attempt to do today is demonstrate what happens to a wheel when hard braking is suddenly applied. Now, hard braking can be applied suddenly, but it can also be managed. When you hold brakes suddenly on most wheels, what will happen is there's something called motor slip. I can't explain it exactly in this video, but basically what happens is the braking pretty much causes the motor to reach the limit at which it's able to hold you up. So, I'm on the wheel now. What you're listening for is a grind. You're listening for the wheel to make some type of grunt. And you'll also look for the wheel attempting to drop me. All right, let's do it. All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. This is UStride. Okay, so we're gonna try to make this video really short, but hopefully very informational. I'm here with my high-speed Msb. Okay, this is a very old wheel. All right, here it is. I hope you can see it. Now, the high-speed Msb is a very interesting wheel. It was a collaboration between Gotway and Ewheels at the time to build a more high-speed version of the torque Msb, because at the time a lot of us were very unsatisfied with the 35 or 38 mile per hour wheel that was the torque Msb at the time. So in terms of speed, we've come a very long way, because back then 30 miles an hour, 35 miles an hour was pretty much normal. Now we're hitting speeds of, upwards of 56 miles an hour. Who knows, maybe 60 miles an hour. So we're getting a lot of capable wheels. So today, I'm going to start this series where I will be talking about why certain things matter. Mostly torque. Why torque matters. And to be specific, torque matters for high performance wheels, okay? So today we're gonna talk about braking. Braking is a direct function of torque for EUCs. Acceleration is also a direct function of torque for EUCs. Okay, so what I will attempt to do is demonstrate why torque matters today. Now earlier I went to a plaza, and in that plaza there's a lot of people walking to and fro from and into the plaza. And in many cases you have situations where people walk across the main street. In other words, in many cases they won't use the crosswalk. Some do use the crosswalk, but there are times where you just don't see them because they're far away from the crosswalk, and they might run up on you without you realizing it. And so at that point, if you're doing at least 30 miles an hour, you might have to slam on the brakes or go around them. And sometimes even going around them might be dangerous for you too, because there might be oncoming traffic. So in some situations, the best thing to do is stop. Now, in order to do that, you will have to know your wheel, and your wheel has to be capable of such maneuvers, right? The thing with these new wheels is that they're highly capable, but they don't match the capability of high speeds with torque. The Sherman is a good example of that. The Monster is a good example of that. The KS20 at the time is a good example of that. And in some cases, if you're a really hard rider, the MSP high-speed version is an example of a wheel having so much capability to go fast and maneuver but might not have the right amount of torque that you might need in order to brake abruptly. So what I will attempt to do today is demonstrate what happens to a wheel when hard braking is suddenly applied. Now, hard braking can be applied suddenly, but it can also be managed. When you hold brakes suddenly on most wheels, what will happen is there's something called motor slip. I can't explain it exactly in this video, but basically what happens is the braking pretty much causes the motor to reach the limit at which it's able to hold you up. And what you will feel is some grinding sound or slippage, where the motor tends to literally attempt to drop you because too much force is being applied to the motor or its ability to hold you up. If you know exactly how that works, you can play with the limits of your wheel. What I've found is in lower wheels, lesser wheels like the 16X, the InMotion, V5, V8, wheels like that, in many cases they don't give you the chance to play with that limit. What they do is they will just cut off. So let's demonstrate that type of effect on the high-speed MSB today. So I'm on the wheel now. What you're listening for is a grind. You're listening for the wheel to make some type of grunt. And you'll also look for the wheel attempting to drop me. All right, let's do it. All right, so I'm gonna attempt this 2 more times in succession, the same way I did with the KS20. All right, so here you go. Now, this is exactly what I did with the KS20. When I held the brake really hard, the motor kind of slipped and the wheel felt like it was gonna drop me the first time. When I felt it the first time, I said, wow, I've reached the limit of the wheel, and I didn't really apply that much force. So I decided to try it again within seconds. And that's when I heard the capacitor pop and it dropped me. Now this wheel is fully charged. Okay, this is 100 volts. I fully charged it and I literally crawled on the way here. Now keep in mind, Sean at the time had the wheel fully charged and rode it to me as well. Okay, let's attempt to do this another time, but a little bit harder. Okay. There you go. Now I really had to apply some force to that wheel. This was unlike the KS20. I did not apply that much force. I attempted the same thing with the Torque MSB, and I wasn't able to do it that easily. The Torque MSB 2500 watt motor was very, very, how do you say, superior. It was extremely superior. Now we're talking about a 3300 watt motor on the KS20 here, and the wheel, in terms of how it was set up with the firmware and everything, could not handle the brute force that was applied to it in hard braking. So there you go. Galtway had some time to learn how to do this properly over time. The problem with Kingsong is they had no experience with this, and this is the result. So why is it important? Well, it's important because if you're going to allow a wheel to perform at this level of performance, speed, maneuverability, have big motor, big battery, you need to balance it all out. It needs to all balance out. And today, I just wanted to demonstrate that for an old wheel, such as this high-speed MSB, it far outperforms a top wheel from Kingsong, that is the KS20. So when you get, if anyone has the KS20 right now, I would recommend attempting to do the same thing. You ride it up to 20-25 miles an hour. You apply some pressure to the brake to the point where the limit is reached. The motor slips. A few more seconds, let it slip again. And if the wheel is not able to handle that, that's a problem. A lot of people made the assessment that, well, it's an off-roading wheel. And because it's an off-roading wheel, you should not ride it that way. Well, yes and no. Because if you're going down a hill while you're off-roading, in some cases, you have other people in that park. You have bicyclists, you probably have BMX guys, you probably have people walking, you probably have animals, branches, rocks. If it's such a time where you're experiencing your fun and then you happen to need that braking power at that instantaneous in time, then the wheel should be able to handle that. And if it doesn't, then that says a lot about the wheel. Now, EVs mentioned that in the KS22 version firmware that the torque was taken care of. There's an easy way to figure that out. That is by accelerating and then by braking in the way I just did. So just for fun, let's do this one more time. It's important to test these new wheels against older wheels that had a benchmark for performance. That is because we will determine if we're moving forward or backwards. It seems that the Master, as expected, performs quite well where torque is concerned and braking is concerned. And I had no doubts that, you know, it wouldn't be an issue because it's from Gotway and you're talking about years of experience here. So for a lot of people wondering, should I get an older wheel or should I get a newer wheel? Getting an older wheel, especially one that's been proven or has a proven track record of being able to handle all sorts of load under various conditions, I would say, honestly, yes, get one. Get an older wheel. Why not? The newer wheels have suspension, which is good for your knees. But if you're looking for if you're someone who rides normally, then, you know, get whatever wheel you want. But this information is for people who love to ride hard or aspire to ride hard. Okay? So, guys, I hope this helped. Have an awesome day. Bye-bye.